the Galveston hurricane of 1900. Over 8,000 reported to have died because of the storm. Okay, so Brandon, you were here before, during, and after Dora. Maybe explain to us, if you can, what it was like the morning after.
Our family actually evacuated the night before. We went into town to stay, mostly because people had been there with heavy northeasters had warned us. And
now, did you leave during the height of the storm or before things got bad, or?
Before things got too bad. Again, we were oceanfront.
Yeah.
And so we had some forewarning about what to expect.
But not everybody left, did they?
No, a lot of people stayed here at the beach. Some wish they hadn't because of the waters, not so much the rain, but the surf waters and how high they came up. But for us, we managed to get back out to the beach, endured the long lines, what were then 2-lane roads on Atlantic and Beach Boulevard with the old drawbridges. Once we produced our identification, they let us back in. It was kind of a shock when we got there. Our area between 7th Street and Atlantic Beach and 11th Street and Atlantic Beach was pretty hard hit. Our seawalls were undermined, and those seawalls, once they fell, then it encroached into the old Lake Beach Hotel, into our Le Chateau restaurant down there. Our property was probably at the north end of it. We had about a 10 to 15 foot drop and 40 feet of our front yard washed out.
Now, how about your house? Did the house go in?
House sustained a lot of damage. We sustained a lot of damage in the downstairs area. We did not have to...
when you said, was your damage from the downstairs area, is that from storm surge? And window just because of force or stuff hitting them?
Both. Mostly, okay. I think, mostly because of stuff hitting them.
Okay.
For instance, we have old cedar shingle on the wood, and that stuff had been sitting there since 1927, as hard as brick. But there was a piece of shale, you couldn't drive a nail in it, but there was a piece of shale right next to our front glass doors that had been driven into the thing. So you can understand the force and the power of stuff blowing around at that point in time.
What about just plain living in your house? I mean, how long before that felt like anything close to normal?
We spent probably 2 to 3 weeks getting everything in. We had, there was a lot of sand in the house. The wind was blowing sand all over the place. The windows, we had some 50 some odd windows in the house. So those that were broke, there was a lot of water damage and stuff, but we had the foresight to move everything off the downstairs floor, upstairs, and away from the windows and the walls. Okay. But it took a long time. It took months to really get back.
What about just plain communications? Back then we just said phones. How long till?
The central office lines were all strung overhead back then, simply because there's the moisture and they don't bury lines around here. Electric was out for a couple weeks in most cases along Beach Avenue. And I think in some areas of the city, I recall them saying 6 weeks to restore power, because there was 50,000 people or so, as I recall, that didn't have power in Jacksonville.
If you want to give folks advice who've never been through a hurricane, what would be just some real world top 3 things to think about?
For oceanfront, I wouldn't trust the dunes to last very long.
Gotcha.
Secondly, depending on the wind speed associated with the hurricane and the tidal surge that's forecast, which hopefully you guys will help us with that.
Let's hope.
I suggest getting out of Dodge and find a safe place to stay overnight at least. And then, do what you need to do to protect your house before you leave and get started early. Otherwise, it's hard to get ready for them. Especially on the ocean front. There may not be any trees and trash and everything in the yard, but things come out of nowhere.
I think that's a great point that you don't hear a lot. Well, you brought something interesting. I think some folks automatically think, okay, I'm going to get on I-10 and head west. It sounds like you're saying you wouldn't necessarily even leave Duval as much as just get away from the water?
Tanamount is getting away from the water, depending on the wind speeds. If you're talking 90 miles an hour, such as Dora, then you're probably safe in town. But if you're talking 110 or 120, I've seen up in Katrina and Miami, And the devastation there at those speeds is just unbelievable.
You know, I know you were young, but is there anything you can remember that after the storm hit that you or the family was going, you know, I wish we would have?
We probably would have boarded up more of the windows. I think we would sustain less damage than we did. I think you ought to board up as much as you can. Yeah. Protect your property.
When we come back, the steps you should be doing right now to protect your lives and property.
After the break, when Hurricane Ready 2017 Ahead of the Storm continues.
Well, I know you've been hearing some great safety tips on hurricane season that's going to be approaching, and right now we want to talk some windows and doors. We've got Tat Granata, he's here with Florida Home Improvement Associates, and I got to tell you, Tat, when we had to evacuate for Hurricane Matthew, I remember the last thing I did was I looked at that house and I said, oh, windows and doors, please do your job. So let's talk about the importance of the job and the role that windows and doors play during a storm or a hurricane.
Yeah, absolutely. And the job starts at the beginning with education, right? Is determining which type of window is best for you and your family. So we like the opportunity to meet with folks to show them all the different options that are available.
And there's a big difference when you're talking options of what's the minimum code requirement from the state or your county versus what's really going to do the job. Let's talk a little bit, and you've got some examples here for me.
So this is Dade County approved impact glass. Minimum intent of the code, just minimum.
Okay, and it's got this little vinyl piece in between it. So I don't know if I want to put my life and my home savings balanced on this.
Yeah, it's two pieces of glass with a vinyl interlayer in between, heated at extreme temperatures to form a piece of impact glass.
Okay.
There's a lot of different options leading up to this particular option, which is also Dade County approved impact glass, but it's, as you can see, considerably stronger.
Definitely thicker, and it's definitely got this thing in between. There's no piece of vinyl right there. And so what's the difference that could make when it really comes down to a huge category 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 storm coming your way?
And when we meet with homeowners, the first thing they say is we want to do impact glass. Well, they're all going to protect you from impact. But what we've seen in past storms is the dangers of not just impact, flying debris, but wind pressures, positive and negative pressures pushing and pulling on your glass. So we want to do the best we can, like in your example, to protect so you know it's done and you're okay, is to not only protect you from flying debris, but all the dangers associated with the hurricane storms.
And obviously that's an investment. If you're going to go and equip your entire home, is that something that you could look to your homeowner's insurance policy and say, hey, look, I've really done everything I can to protect my property?
Sure, if you order it correctly and the best way you can, and there's certain ways, again, that make the right decisions and then have it installed really well, we've seen a lot of deductions from insurance companies as well.
And if we're talking deductions, this is Florida. We love to have floor to ceiling windows, but that sun comes in and really does scorch things.
Absolutely, and hurricane impact glass on its own doesn't really protect you from the harmful sunlight and heat that comes into our home. So there's ways that we can order the windows for you that will not only protect you from a hurricane, but also save you a lot of money on your energy and make your home a lot more comfortable.
So Tat, maybe some homeowners right now are just taking a look around the room and saying, we probably need to have this conversation and talk through this process. What should they do? Yeah,
we'd be glad to meet with any of the homeowners, certainly in the area. Come out, take a look at what you have, see what type of protection you have, and give you suggestions and show you everything that's available so that you can make the best decision for you and your family.
Yeah, not when it's coming. You want to have the conversation now when it's nice and calm.
Yeah, it is a 4 to 6 week process from the time you place the order for it to be custom made for your home and then installed.
Tat, thank you so much, and stick around for more great safety tips as we got this hurricane season coming upon us.
Welcome back. Your largest investment is your home. Here are the top 5 things you can do to protect lives and property. Number 1, right now look over your property. Trim or remove damaged trees and limbs to keep you and your property safe. Number 2, secure loose rain gutters and downspouts and clear any clogged areas or debris to prevent water damage to your property. Number 3, put together a disaster supply kit, including flashlights, batteries, first aid supplies, and copies of your critical information. Determine if you are in an evacuation zone. If so, do you know how to get out and where you will go? And finally, number 5, make a family communication plan. Share with relatives important phone numbers and where you'll go if the worst comes our way. And remember, when a storm threatens, we're going to bring you all the information you need. We're going to get through this together. We wouldn't be anywhere else.
This has been a First Coast News special presentation. Hurricane Ready 2017, ahead of the storm.